The first bullet was meant for her. I took it instead. I was just a single dad working as a security guard, drowning in debt after losing my wife. She was a billionaire who never noticed people like me. But that one moment changed everything, for both of us. Before you watch full story, comment below from which country are you watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories. The words still echo in my mind, even now, years later. My name is Daniel Carter, and I'm just a single father trying to raise my daughter, Emma, in a world that often feels too cold and cruel. I never imagined that one moment of instinct would change everything, would break me, rebuild me, and teach me what it truly means to sacrifice for someone else. But let me start from the beginning, from the day when my simple life collided with hers, Victoria Sterling, the billionaire who had everything except the one thing money couldn't buy. It was a regular Tuesday morning in September. Emma had just turned 7, and I was working my third job that week, a security guard at Sterling Industries headquarters. The pay was decent, and the hours allowed me to pick Emma up from school every day. That's all that mattered to me. I had lost my wife, Sarah, 3 years ago to cancer. The medical bills had destroyed us financially. Everything we owned, every saving, every dream, gone. I was left with Emma, a mountain of debt, and a broken heart that I had to tape together every morning just to function. Victoria Sterling was the CEO of Sterling Industries, one of the richest women in the country. At 32, she had built an empire from her father's struggling company. Forbes called her the Ice Queen of Silicon Valley. I had seen her maybe twice in the 6 months I worked there. She never looked at people like me. We were invisible to her. That Tuesday started like any other. I dropped Emma at school, kissed her forehead, and promised her we'd have her favorite spaghetti for dinner. She smiled that beautiful smile that looked so much like her mother's, and my heart ached with love and loss all at once. At the office, I took my position at the main entrance. Hours passed. People came and went. Then, at exactly 2:47 p.m., everything exploded into chaos. A man in a dark coat entered the lobby. Something about him felt wrong. His eyes were wild, desperate. His hand moved inside his coat, and I saw the glint of metal. Victoria Sterling was walking toward the entrance, her assistant beside her, completely unaware. Time slowed down. I saw him raise the gun. I saw his finger on the trigger. I saw Victoria's face, focused on her phone, oblivious to the death racing toward her. I didn't think. I ran. The first shot rang out just as I crashed into Victoria, pushing her to the ground. I felt the burning pain tear through my shoulder. The second shot hit my chest. I collapsed on top of her, my blood soaking her expensive white suit. I heard screaming. I heard more gunshots as other security responded. I heard Victoria's voice, panicked and afraid, calling for help. Then everything went dark. I woke up 4 days later in a private hospital room. The first thing I saw was Emma's face, tear-stained and terrified, her small hand clutching mine. "Daddy," she whispered. "You're awake." My sister, Jennifer, was there too, her eyes red from crying. "Daniel, thank God. We thought we'd lost you." The doctors said I was lucky. One bullet had shattered my shoulder blade. The other had missed my heart by inches. I would live, but I'd need months of recovery, multiple surgeries, and extensive physical therapy. The reality hit me hard. I couldn't work. I had no income. The medical bills were already piling up again, a nightmare I'd barely escaped from before. On the 5th day, Victoria Sterling came to visit. She stood in the doorway, looking different from the cold CEO I'd seen in the lobby. She wore simple jeans and a sweater. Her face was pale, and her eyes carried something I hadn't expected, guilt. "Mr. Carter," she said softly. "May I come in?" I nodded, unable to speak. She walked in slowly, as if approaching something fragile. "I came to thank you. You saved my life." Just doing my job, I managed to say. No, she said firmly. Your job was to call for backup, to hit the alarm. You weren't supposed to use your body as a shield. Her voice cracked. You have a daughter. You could have died. I looked at Emma, who was coloring in the corner. That's exactly why I did it. I understand what it means to lose someone. I couldn't let that happen to your family. Victoria's eyes filled with tears. I have no family, Mr. Carter. My parents died years ago. I have no siblings, no children. I've spent my whole life building a company, making money, proving I was strong enough to survive alone. She wiped her eyes. And a man I didn't even know was willing to die for me. A man with everything to lose. She reached into her purse and pulled out an envelope. I want to help. I'm paying for all your medical expenses. And I'm setting up a fund for your daughter's education, full scholarship through college. I stared at the envelope, pride and desperation warring inside me. Ms. Sterling, I don't want charity. It's not charity, she said. It's a debt. One I can never fully repay. After she left, I opened the envelope. Inside was a check for $200,000. I broke down and cried for the first time since Sarah died. My recovery was slow and painful. Physical therapy was torture. Some days I couldn't even lift Emma. But Victoria kept visiting. At first once a week, then twice, then almost daily. She'd bring Emma toys and books. She'd sit with me during therapy sessions. Slowly, the ice queen melted, and I saw the woman underneath, lonely, driven, and desperately searching for meaning beyond money. 3 months into my recovery, Victoria arrived at my apartment looking shaken. Daniel, I need to tell you something, she said. The man who shot you, his name was Richard Morrison. He worked for me 5 years ago. I fired him for embezzlement. He went to prison. Okay, I said slowly. What does this mean? He didn't act alone. Her hands trembled. The police found emails. There's someone else, someone who paid him to kill me. Someone from my own company. My blood ran cold. Who? My cousin, Thomas Sterling. He owns 30% of the company. If I died, he'd take over everything. She looked at me with fear I'd never seen before. Daniel, he's going to try again. The police don't have enough evidence to arrest him yet. He's smart, careful. Then you need protection, I said immediately. I have bodyguards now. A whole team. She paused. But I trust you, Daniel. You're the only person who's ever put my life before your own without wanting something in return. Over the next few weeks, Victoria told me everything. Thomas had been sabotaging the company for years, making small moves to undermine her. He'd convinced board members she was unstable. He'd planted stories in the media about her being difficult, irrational. He's trying to destroy me professionally before he kills me, she said bitterly. So when I'm gone, everyone will think the company is better off. Something inside me shifted. Victoria had saved my life financially, had been there for Emma when we had no one else. She'd shown us kindness when the world had shown us only hardship. Then we fight back, I said. She looked at me, surprised. Daniel, you're still recovering. You have Emma to think about. Which is exactly why I'm doing this, I said firmly. You gave my daughter a future. You gave us hope when we had none. I won't let someone take you away from us. For the first time since I'd known her, Victoria smiled, a real, genuine smile. Okay. But we do this smart. We do this right. Victoria hired me as her personal security consultant. It was a cover, really. What we were actually doing was investigating Thomas. I moved slowly at first, my shoulder still weak. But determination pushed me forward. I interviewed former employees who'd been fired under mysterious circumstances. I dug through financial records Victoria gave me access to. I followed Thomas, watching his movements, his meetings. Emma stayed with my sister during the long hours. I hated being away from her, but every time I wanted to quit, I remembered what Victoria had done for us. 6 weeks into our investigation, we found it, a shell company Thomas had created. He'd been funneling money from Sterling Industries for 3 years. Millions of dollars, carefully hidden in fake vendor contracts and inflated expenses. "This is it," Victoria said, staring at the documents spread across her dining table. "This is enough to destroy him." But I shook my head. "It's enough to ruin him financially. But we need proof he tried to kill you. Otherwise, he walks away with a white-collar crime sentence and tries again when he gets out." Victoria's face fell. "How do we prove that?" I thought for a moment. "We make him confess." The plan was dangerous. Victoria hated it. But it was our only choice. We let Thomas know, through carefully placed rumors, that Victoria had discovered the embezzlement. We made it seem like she was going to announce it at the next board meeting in 2 weeks. Then we waited. Thomas panicked. We could see it in his behavior. He started making mistakes, meeting with shady people, making desperate phone calls. 1 week before the board meeting, he reached out to Victoria. He wanted to meet privately at the company warehouse to discuss the situation. Victoria wore a wire. I was hidden in the warehouse with 2 police detectives we brought into our confidence. Thomas arrived looking nervous. Victoria confronted him calmly, professionally. At first, he denied everything. But as Victoria presented evidence, piece by piece, he began to crack. "You don't understand the pressure I've been under," he shouted. "Your father left me nothing. You got everything. The company should have been mine." "So you tried to kill me," Victoria said, her voice steady despite the fear I knew she felt. "I gave you a chance to step down." Thomas screamed. "But you're too stubborn, too proud. You couldn't just leave and let someone more qualified take over." "Someone like you?" Victoria challenged. "Someone who hires criminals to commit murder." Thomas laughed bitterly. Morrison was an idiot. He was supposed to make it look like a robbery gone wrong. Instead, some nobody security guard played hero. He stepped closer to Victoria, and I tensed, ready to intervene. "But I can finish what he started right now. There's no one here to save you this time." He pulled out a knife. I stepped out of the shadows. "Wrong." Thomas spun around, his face going white. The police detectives emerged from the other side. "Thomas Sterling, you're under arrest for attempted murder and embezzlement," one detective said. Thomas looked at Victoria with pure hatred. "You're still going to lose. The board will never follow you. They all think you're cold and heartless." Victoria walked up to him, her head held high. "Maybe I was. But someone taught me what real strength looks like. It's not money or power. It's being willing to sacrifice everything for someone else. And that's something you'll never understand." They took Thomas away. Victoria collapsed against me, shaking. I held her carefully, mindful of my still healing shoulder. "It's over," I whispered. "You're safe now." She looked up at me, tears streaming down her face. "Thank you. For everything." 2 weeks later, Victoria stood before the Sterling Industries board of directors. I sat in the back of the room, Emma beside me. Victoria had insisted we be there. "Ladies and gentlemen," Victoria began. "The last few months have been difficult. You've all heard about the attempt on my life and my cousin's arrest. What you might not know is that it made me examine my entire life, how I've run this company, how I've treated people." She clicked a remote, and a photo appeared on the screen behind her, the photo of me from the hospital, tubes and wires everywhere, Emma holding my hand. "This is Daniel Carter. He was a security guard here. He had just lost his wife, was drowning in medical debt, and was working 3 jobs to support his 7-year-old daughter. When a gunman tried to kill me, Daniel didn't hesitate. He stepped between me and the bullets. He nearly died. The room was completely silent. Daniel didn't know me. I'd never spoken to him before that day. To me, he was invisible, just another employee, someone to nod at in passing. But to him, I was a human being worth saving. Victoria's voice broke. He had every reason to let me die. His life was already hard enough. But he chose compassion over self-preservation. She paused, gathering herself. I've spent my life believing that being strong meant being independent, emotionless, focused only on success. But Daniel showed me that real strength is loving people even when it costs you everything. Real strength is showing up for others even when you're barely standing yourself. Victoria looked directly at the board. I'm announcing a new initiative. We're creating the Sarah Carter Foundation, named after Daniel's late wife. It will provide financial support to employees and their families facing medical crises. We're implementing better healthcare coverage, expanding parental leave, and creating a hardship fund. One board member raised his hand. Ms. Sterling, this will cost millions. How do you justify this expense to shareholders? Victoria smiled. Because a man who made $12 an hour gave me something worth more than this entire company, his life. If we can't take care of our people the way he took care of me, then what are we really building here? The room erupted in applause. After the meeting, board members approached Victoria with tears in their eyes. Some shared their own stories of hardship. Others thanked her for her humanity. Emma tugged on Victoria's sleeve. Miss Victoria, does this mean other kids won't lose their mommies because they can't pay the hospital? Victoria knelt down, eye level with my daughter. I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure of it, sweetheart. Emma hugged her tight. And I saw Victoria, the ice queen, the billionaire, the untouchable CEO, break down and cry like a child. The months that followed were transformative. My shoulder healed slowly, painfully, but it healed. I started working officially as Victoria's head of security, a position that paid more than I'd ever dreamed and allowed me to spend time with Emma. But more than that, Victoria became part of our family. She attended Emma's school plays. She helped with homework. She learned to braid Emma's hair, badly at first, but she improved. She had dinner with us every Sunday. One evening, 6 months after the shooting, Victoria and I sat on my apartment balcony while Emma slept inside. I never thought I'd have this, Victoria said quietly. This feeling of belonging. You've always belonged, I said. You just surrounded yourself with the wrong people. She turned to me. Daniel, I need to tell you something. I'm falling in love with you. My heart stopped. Victoria. I know, she said quickly. I know it's complicated. I'm your boss. I'm the person you saved. There's a power imbalance. But I can't help how I feel. You showed me what it means to be human again. I took her hand carefully. I love you too. I've been falling for you for months. But I'm terrified. Of what? Of losing you the way I lost Sarah. Of Emma losing someone else she loves. Of not being enough for someone like you. Victoria's eyes filled with tears. Daniel, you're everything. You're brave and kind and selfless. You're an amazing father. You make me want to be better. She squeezed my hand. And I'm terrified too. But maybe that's okay. Maybe being scared means it matters. I pulled her close, kissing her forehead. We take it slow. For Emma's sake. For Emma's sake, she agreed. A year passed. Victoria and I dated carefully, thoughtfully. Emma's therapist helped her process the relationship. Slowly, beautifully, we became a real family. Victoria sold her mansion and bought a house near Emma's school. She learned to cook, not well, but she tried. She attended parent-teacher conferences. She was there for Emma's nightmares, her questions about her mother, her fears about losing another parent. "You're not replacing my mommy," Emma told Victoria one night. Victoria knelt down, taking Emma's hands. "I would never try to, sweetheart. Your mommy was special and irreplaceable. But there's room in our hearts for lots of love. I love you and your daddy, and that doesn't take away from how much you love your mommy's memory." Emma thought about this. "Can I love you both?" "Always," Victoria whispered. On the anniversary of the shooting, Victoria took Emma and me to a beautiful hilltop overlooking the city. 2 years ago today, Victoria began, I almost died. And a man I didn't know saved me. Daniel, you didn't just save my life. You gave me a life worth living. She knelt down, pulling out a small box. But instead of looking at me, she looked at Emma. "Emma Carter, you've taught me what it means to be brave, to be silly, to find joy in small things. Would you do me the honor of letting me be part of your family officially?" She opened the box. Inside was a silver necklace with 2 pendants, one for Emma, one for Sarah. Emma started crying. "You mean you want to be my bonus mom?" "If you'll have me," Victoria said, tears streaming down her face. Emma threw her arms around Victoria. "Yes. Yes, I want you to be my bonus mom." Then Victoria turned to me, pulling out another box. "Daniel Carter, you showed me that heroes are real. That love is stronger than fear. That sacrifice is the greatest gift. Will you marry me?" I couldn't speak. I just nodded, tears blinding me. We held each other on that hilltop, 3 broken people who'd found a way to become whole together. We got married 6 months later in a small ceremony. No press, no photographers, just the people who mattered. My sister Jennifer was there, crying happy tears. Emma was the flower girl, taking her job very seriously. Victoria's assistant, who'd become a good friend, was the maid of honor. But the most touching moment came during the vows. Victoria had requested a special addition to the ceremony. She turned to Emma, who stood beside us in her pretty dress. "Emma, I promise to love your father with everything I have. I promise to honor your mother's memory and make sure you always know how special she was. I promise to be there for you, for school plays and bad dreams, for homework help and heartbreaks. I promise to love you not because I have to, but because you've made it impossible not to." Emma read her own vows, written in her 8-year-old handwriting. "Miss Victoria, I promise to share my daddy with you. I promise to help you learn to cook better. I promise to love you even when I'm grumpy. Thank you for making my daddy happy again." There wasn't a dry eye in the room. After the ceremony, Victoria announced a surprise. "I'm stepping down as CEO of Sterling Industries." Everyone gasped. "Not permanently," she clarified with a smile. "But I'm moving to a chairman position. I'm going to focus on the foundation, on making real change. And I'm going to be present for my family. Because I've learned that the most important legacy isn't money or power. It's love." Today, Emma is 13. She's smart, compassionate, and determined to become a doctor so she can help people the way we wished someone could have helped her mom. Victoria and I work together running the Sarah Carter Foundation. We've helped over 10,000 families avoid medical bankruptcy. We've changed healthcare policies at major corporations. We've made a difference. But the biggest change is in our home. Every Sunday, we have family dinner. We talk about our week, our challenges, our dreams. We laugh until our stomachs hurt. We cry when we need to. We hold each other through the hard times. Victoria is no longer the ice queen. She's warm, present, imperfect, and beautiful. She burns dinner sometimes. She makes terrible jokes. She cries at sad movies. She's human. Last week, we visited Sarah's grave together. Emma placed flowers while Victoria and I stood back. Do you think she'd approve? Victoria asked quietly. I took her hand. Sarah loved deeply and lived fully. She'd want Emma to have a mother figure who loves her. She'd want me to be happy. And she'd be grateful to you for saving our family when we were drowning. Victoria leaned her head on my good shoulder, the one that hadn't been shattered by a bullet. I was the one who was drowning, Daniel. You pulled me out. Emma ran back to us, grabbing both our hands. Can we get ice cream? It's freezing outside, Victoria laughed. So. Ice cream is good any time. Emma insisted. We got ice cream. We sat in the car with the heat running, eating our cones, and Emma told us about her day. It was ordinary and perfect. That night, after Emma went to bed, Victoria and I sat together in our living room. Do you ever regret it? She asked. Taking those bullets? Everything that came after. I thought about the pain, the surgeries, the long recovery. I thought about the fear and the uncertainty. Then I looked around our home, at the photos of Emma growing up, at Victoria's reading glasses on the coffee table, at the life we'd built from broken pieces. Not for a second, I said. Those bullets brought me to you. They taught me that even in our darkest moments, there's hope. That sacrifice isn't losing something, it's gaining something greater. Victoria kissed me softly. You gave me everything when you had nothing. How do I ever repay that? You already have, I said. Every single day. Last month, Victoria was invited to speak at a conference about corporate responsibility. I sat in the audience with Emma, watching my wife take the stage. 5 years ago, Victoria began, I was one of the richest women in America and one of the poorest in spirit. I had everything money could buy and nothing that actually mattered. Then a single father with every reason to hate the world chose kindness instead. She clicked to a photo of us on our wedding day. Daniel Carter was drowning in grief and debt. He was working 3 jobs to support his daughter. He had no reason to save me, a billionaire who'd never even acknowledged his existence. But he did. He took bullets meant for me. He nearly died. Victoria's voice grew stronger. That moment changed everything. It showed me that real wealth isn't in bank accounts. It's in the people who love you enough to sacrifice for you. It's in the communities we build. It's in the lives we touch. She looked directly at me. Daniel taught me that being broken isn't weakness, it's an opportunity to rebuild into something stronger. Every crack lets the light in. Every scar tells a story of survival. The audience was silent, captivated. Today, the Sarah Carter Foundation has helped thousands of families. But more than that, it's changed how we think about business. We've proven that caring for people isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. That companies succeed not by extracting value from employees but by investing in their well-being. Victoria smiled, tears in her eyes. A single dad took the shots for a broken billionaire. What followed wasn't just about healing bodies. It was about healing hearts, rebuilding lives, and learning that love, real, sacrificial, unconditional love, is the most powerful force in the world. The audience stood and applauded. Emma squeezed my hand. Daddy, you're a hero, she whispered. I kissed her forehead. No, sweetheart. I'm just a dad who loves his family. That's all any of us needs to be. But as I watched Victoria step off that stage and walk toward us, her face radiant with purpose and love, I realized something profound. We'd all been broken, Victoria by loneliness and pressure, Emma by loss, and me by grief and desperation. But we hadn't let that brokenness define us. We'd let it refine us. Those bullets had torn through my body but opened my heart. They'd nearly killed me but brought me back to life. They'd taken everything and given me more than I'd ever dreamed. Because sometimes the darkest moments lead to the brightest futures. Sometimes sacrifice is the seed that grows into grace. Sometimes being broken is the first step toward becoming whole. Victoria reached us, pulling Emma and me into a hug. Around us, people took photos and whispered. But I didn't care about any of that. I had my daughter. I had my wife. I had a purpose. I had a life filled with meaning. The single dad who'd had nothing had found everything. And it all started with 2 bullets, a moment of instinct, and the courage to love when everything else said to run away. This is our story. A story of sacrifice and redemption, of broken pieces becoming beautiful mosaics, of 3 wounded souls finding healing in each other. A story that started with bullets and blood but ended with hope and love. A story that proves, beyond any doubt, that the best things in life aren't things at all, they're the people who make our broken places whole. Emma turned 14 last week. She came home from school with news that made both Victoria and me cry. I want to volunteer at the hospital, she announced. In the cancer ward. Where Mom was. Victoria and I exchanged glances. Are you sure, sweetheart? I asked carefully. That might be really hard. Emma's eyes were determined, so much like her mother's. That's exactly why I need to do it, Dad. Those families are scared and alone, just like we were. Maybe I can help them feel less alone. 2 days later, we accompanied Emma to the hospital for her first volunteer shift. As we walked through those familiar corridors, the same ones where I'd watched Sarah slip away, where I'd recovered from gunshot wounds, I felt Victoria's hand slip into mine. She's just like you, Victoria whispered. So brave it hurts to watch. We watched Emma approach a little girl who was crying, her mother looking exhausted beside her. Emma sat down and started talking softly, showing the girl a drawing she'd made. Within minutes, the little girl was smiling. The mother looked up at us with tears of gratitude. That's when I recognized her. She worked in the Sterling Industries mailroom. Mr. Carter, she said, shocked. Mrs. Sterling. Victoria walked over immediately. Is your daughter okay? She has leukemia, the woman said, her voice breaking. But thanks to the foundation, we can afford her treatment. You saved us. You saved my baby. Victoria knelt down beside the woman. You don't have to thank us. Someone once saved me, and I'm just passing it forward. As we drove home that evening, Emma was quiet in the back seat. What are you thinking about, honey? I asked. I'm thinking that Mom's death wasn't meaningless, Emma said softly. It led us to Victoria. It made us understand other people's pain. It created the foundation that's saving kids like that little girl. She paused. Maybe that's what life is about. Taking our pain and turning it into something that helps others. Victoria pulled the car over, turned around, and looked at Emma with pure wonder. When did you get so wise? Emma smiled. I learned from the best. A dad who takes bullets for strangers and a bonus mom who turned her whole life around for love. That night, the 3 of us sat in our backyard under the stars. Victoria had her arm around Emma. I held them both close. You know what the best part is? Victoria said. We didn't just survive our broken pieces. We used them to build something beautiful, a family that understands pain, celebrates joy, and chooses love every single day. Emma pointed to the sky. Look, a shooting star. Make a wish. We all closed our eyes. But I didn't need to wish for anything. Everything I'd ever needed was right here, holding my hands under the starlight. The single dad who took the shots for the broken billionaire had found something worth more than any wish, a life filled with purpose, a heart full of love, and a future bright with hope. And every scar on my body was a reminder that sometimes the worst moments lead to the best chapters. Sometimes being broken is just the beginning of becoming whole.